And he just got it.
Right. Yeah, it's like, well, it feels like summer already, but we're into summer this year. Amazing how fast it goes by.
Yeah, it is.
That's right.
Next week, the days start getting shorter.
Oh, that's
Oh, don't say that.
Sorry.
Kurt, go to your phone.
depressing, but the reality. So I don't mind until we get where it's dark when I leave work.
It's dark when you come home. Yeah.
The solution to my problem is leave work earlier, but I haven't figured out how to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Go to work at noon and at 5.
right. Yeah, I was half afraid with all this
David,
electric.
what you doing way down there?
We were gonna. It sounds like
I just sat where my name tag was. That's all.
Well,
was
Kurt's
there.
not gonna be here today.
I'm now outfitted
I'm
where I can
compliant
run
with
my
my
air
rules.
conditioner on backup power, but I haven't actually tried it yet. This would not
I don't
be
think
the
it changes.
situation
Are they
I would
mixed
want to
up?
give that a test run. Yeah, but it's not the whole house, but it's big enough to run the whole
Did you put 'em
house.
out?
And I had to rework the electrical to get it to the point where it could run the whole house. And I haven't
I'm sorry?
tested it yet.
Depending on how,
No,
yeah,
that's
you
okay.
need at least
Is Herb not gonna be here tonight?
55.
No, he's not gonna be here
Oh,
today.
okay.
And I've got like
That's fine.
80.
I have lots of space this way, so
Runs 5 hours, but it doesn't come
it's okay.
I
We're not
thought
the
maybe
first
you
one.
were under the weather
That's
and
how
you
mine
wanted to
is
stay in
set
the
up too, so I can
corner.
shut off parts if
I thought you were under the weather and wanted
Then
to
I
stay
got
in the corner.
a soft start thing that's supposed to ease the startup demand for the air conditioner,
How's Barbara?
which supposedly
Good days
helps.
and
I
bad
don't know,
days.
we'll
She
see,
starts-
remains to be seen.
For 7 weeks of radiation start.
Well, our friends that
Thursday.
are consumers can shut you down.
That'll be a long,
Right.
as long
Right
haul as the
to do
chemo
that.
was, has been, so.
in time, so
We're working through it.
necessity is the way it reads.
And this is definitely unusual, extreme, but
They said that they have not had a string of 5 days above 90 degrees in June since 1934.
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, but then when you think about it, usually you don't get 90-degree weather.
Right. No, just the one day is an aberration, that's right. We were in New York over the weekend and most of last week, and it would have been a whole different trip if it had been like it was on Sunday for that whole, because we walked pretty much everywhere. That was my sister's wedding. We had all the kids, so it's a whole different equation in terms of getting taxis and Ubers when you had all those kids. And it would have been miserable if it had been 85 degrees.
We'll get started here in just a minute. Thank you all for coming this evening. We'll have 2 areas for public comment. The first one is for items on the agenda. The other one is for whatever else. Please be respectful during your comments and no personal attacks. And we'll get started here in about 40 seconds.
Hey, are you online or are you internal?
What's that?
Oh, I'm just having some trouble with,
Yeah, the internet has been
Yeah.
sketchy this week.
okay, so it's not me then?
No, it's not you.
Okay. Okay, let's try this again, shall we?
So are you?
Okay, it's 7 o'clock. We'll call our meeting to order. Please rise and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Madam Clerk, might I have the roll call, please?
Yes. Zach Tucker,
Here.
Kurt Schultz,
Here.
Jennifer Eden,
Here.
Mike Cunningham,
Here.
David Walker,
Here.
Herman Ferguson is absent, Pam Moffler, here.
2 things came in that I wanted to add to the agenda. One is moratorium, number 3, we're going to add moratorium on medical marijuana facilities. Item number 4 is quote for labor on equipment upgrades for the boardroom.
Move to approve the agenda as amended.
Support?
It's been motioned and supported to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, that motion carries. Next is approval of the consent agenda, the regular board meeting minutes, June 4, 2024, Treasurers' Report, May 31, 2024, Clerks, Warrants, and Bills, June 12, 2024.
So moved.
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that motion carries. We have, moving on to communications, we have 3 communication items. We have the Livingston County Sheriff's Report dated May 1, 2024. The Planning Commission approved meeting minutes dated May 14, 2024. And the Planning Commission meeting synopsis dated June 11, 2024.
So moved.
Support?
It's been motioned and supported to receive and place communications 1 through 3 on file. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that motion carries. Next, public remarks. If anybody would like to make any comments, they can come up to the table, speak into the microphone. I will call on you. You'll have 3 minutes and make it on agenda items. Any comments? Yes, Scott.
Scott Dietrich, White Lake Road. Thanks for voting that on the agenda. That was very important. We should have done that a while ago. So I would assume it's going to go back to the Planning Commission. I know you're not going to answer it, but it should go back to for rezoning. I know there might be an issue with this one guy because he's in the process of being turned down. I know legally there's a lot of mumbo jumbo back and forth, but yes, that's a good idea. We get this taken care of. So thanks a lot for doing that.
Anyone else? Yes.
Yeah, it's Chris. I object to your comment when you opened up the meeting about no personal attacks. So what do you do when one of the board members personally attacks one of the residents during a phone call with company business, on township business? We've heard nothing about that. So I don't really understand how you can stand up there or sit up there and address this or not address this issue. Because on township business, each person speaks on behalf of the board. They're individually elected, but this is a problem. You have a big problem, and this shows the terrible leadership that's involved in this township. Absolute disgrace in leadership. And I hope you all got my email. So you all read it thoroughly? Probably not, but that's okay. Leadership of this board is terrible. It doesn't exist. So I consistently see that you don't lead out front. You don't get involved in the issues before the residents have to complain, which I don't understand. And so even today, we've got items on the agenda, and I'll speak to an item on the agenda, insulation costs for the townhouse, right? Once again, we're going to see quotes that are probably brought up for that insulation. Great. But please don't judge those quotes by how many pages are in them. That's ridiculous, like you did with the electrical contract. Oh, I like this one more, the board says, because it has more pages. It must be better. That's completely lack of leadership is what I'm trying to express. Take leadership by involving the residents who have expertise in all of these things. You don't do that. You don't do it. And the other part of leadership that you're failing to understand is that you don't communicate to the residents. There's no town halls, there's no workshops, there's no Q&As, there's no why. It's only one of a couple reasons. One, you don't know the answers to any of your questions because you count on the consultants too much. Or two, you're instructed by your lawyer not to speak to us, which means you're hiding something. So when you stop talking to people, especially the residents, that sends the clear message of what I'm talking about. That's a lack of leadership. So please, as a board, you collectively have to exude leadership in this community. And you don't do that as a board, okay? You don't. I pointed out some examples, that's only a fraction of the examples that we have about the lack of leadership that this board is not involved in. So please improve, do better, start engaging with the residents, and start talking to us, and start answering questions. It's naive of you to think that they're all just a bunch of farmers out here who don't know any better. Well, a lot of us have college educations too.
Thank you for your
Many of
comments.
you.
Next. Yes.
My comment goes to the marijuana ordinance that's not really in place. And I sent an email to every single one of you. And the only person that even responded to my email was Herm. That was it. No one else said a word back to me. And that's really disappointing. Really, really disappointing, considering the years that my dad put service into this community, and no one even gave me the courtesy of thank you for your email. It didn't have to answer any questions, it didn't have to give me a solution, but I could have had the courtesy of a reply, and that's really disappointing. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Jeanette?
Jeanette, I'm a Tyrone Township resident, and I want to say thank you for putting a moratorium. All I heard you say was a moratorium on the medical marijuana. I didn't hear if you said ordinance or what, but my understanding is a moratorium means that we can't accept any applications while there's a moratorium. I would sure like to know what it is. As Scott said, is this getting on the Planning Commission agenda? Are they going to now look at this? It's been 3 years that I've been asking the Planning Commission, almost 3 years, that I've been asking the Planning Commission to take this up with the board, and we were completely ignored, and we had another application come in there, as you saw with that public hearing. So thank you for finally getting it on there. I would also want to say that I'm glad that these meetings are video recorded, because I'm referring to the meeting minutes today. They do not reflect what happened in the last board meeting, so I urge people that are interested to go to the recording. You'll see a spectacular display by Herman Ferguson, and he really was just asking the board to hold workshops, and guess what? That request is not on here again tonight. So it's obvious that the board does not want to hold workshops, does not want to answer the people's questions. Also on the agenda is the usual Livingston County Sheriff's Report. I noticed that there's a missing category that perhaps needs to be added. It should be maybe a category called Board Members First, Residents Last in Reports. Okay, so in other words, I called to make a report, was told, no, sorry, now that we know who you're making the report about, we work for the board, we don't work for you. Too bad you can't make a police report. So I just want you guys to think about, especially the women in the room, on the board, the men. Think about if you're a woman alone and you call the cops and you say, I'm worried, someone's in my front yard with a weapon. Okay? And they say, oh, do you reckon? Well, guess what? It looks like someone on the board. Sorry, you're on your own. We represent them, not you, the people. So I contacted the sheriff, and he left me a message back and said, yeah, that probably shouldn't have happened. Call me if you have any questions. I called him, I said, I want a meeting with you. I want my husband to come in, I want to talk about this because I don't feel safe. And he won't answer me. He won't call me back. So I look on a certain board member's webpage to get elected, and guess who's sponsoring him? Guess who's endorsing him? The sheriff. How am I supposed to feel? So please, think about that. That's not right, and that needs to be dealt with. And the fact that you guys haven't brought it up, you've got a community member that's worried and scared, and you won't bring it up, that's absolutely disgusting.
Thank you. Last call. All right, being none, we'll move on. We don't have any unfinished business. We're moving on to new business. Item number 1, Consumers Energy request for gas pipeline work on parcel 47028 400,036. So basically what they're doing is they're installing a new valve on the pipeline to be compliant with local and federal regulations. It's been through the planning commission, everything is in order. And then if we don't have any questions, I'll entertain the motion.
Move we approve.
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to approve Consumers Energy request for pipeline work. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, that motion carries. Next is the historical town hall insulation quote. There was 3 quotes that were provided. The planning commission, or the historical society, stated that they prefer accurate insulation, and their quote is the lowest of the 3. So unless anybody has something to add to that, I would go ahead and entertain a motion for that.
I do have something to add. I think we should do the cross space as well as the, everything else that was quoted. I think they quoted the base total and then cross space option as 2,000. Cross space is the space underneath the Old Town Hall, so I think putting insulation under there would be an energy saving mechanism that we should just go ahead and do while we're doing it.
It would certainly cost more if we had him come back out to do it rather than
Right.
while he's here.
Right.
What does that 2,000 do to our budget amount? Because I think we're right there.
Yep, so to date, of
We
our
had 30,000
30,000
budgeted.
we budgeted. Electrical work was 6,800. Maximum roofing was 8,888. Macklin was 5,246. So with this one, we will be just under the 30. So
How much
this
is
will-
left over because we have that ramp design that we need from engineering?
We will have, I will give that to you in just a second. About $600. Not quite, $550.
That's gonna cut that close.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Any other thoughts or comments about that?
What do we have in the subfloor? Any pipes, drains, electrical, anything that's absolutely necessary to insulate?
I don't know if you bring electrical.
I mean, I'm not saying
There's
go
no pipes, there's no
Yeah,
plumbing
I'm
to
not
it.
saying go insulate it, I'm just saying
Right.
No, the sump pump is down there.
That the
Right.
sub pump's down there.
the sump pump is.
I just think not putting insulation down there, all your heat's gonna go out.
Where?
Out of the, from the
Well, you got
the flooring.
Right, but you have
Down.
four, 6, what is it, 6 inches of concrete wall there? How much?
Yeah, but that crawl is how big? I just think it's energy saving if we put the insulation.
I think that once the concrete is backfilled with the dirt, it's pretty solid. I don't think you're gonna get much, cold in there, some.
I just mean, I think that the flooring, because it's so old, is gonna be, the heat is gonna escape through the flooring. If it's not insulated. I mean, look at your home. We all insulate our floors, right?
The heat rises. So cold might get in, but the heat's not.
Well,
gonna go
that's
through
what I
the floor.
mean. Okay.
Does the wall have like some sort of styrofoam insulation around it? Or is it just brick on both sides?
Well, there's hardly anything in there now.
Okay,
It's just brick.
so what they're looking to do down there then is to put in spray 3 nominal closed cell foam in the crawl space on the joists. And install fiberglass subfloor under the crawl space.
You know, with us being on propane and the cost of propane, I'm sure that, if that saved us $200 a year, it'll pay for itself in 10 years. So,
Okay.
I'm pretty confident we're not gonna run into a budget issue as far as engineering design is concerned, though. That would be my biggest concern, but
Well-
I think if we can squeeze it in, it would be better to
If
insulate
we're
it now.
We don't like
Over.
to do budget amendments, but if we have to.
Well,
Yeah,
You know, well,
if we're over, the Historical Society
yeah, they have money too. so-
they can pay the balance of it. So we can still pay up to the 30,000 that we have budgeted, and then anything above and beyond.
If you spray the floor, it's gonna be cold underneath. You're gonna have to do the outside walls sprayed. If you don't, the sump pump will freeze, you understand that? So you wanna do the outside.
Isn't that what this,
He said,
Part
it,
is
Joey.
it?
Mike said, I'm sorry for interrupting.
no, that's fine.
But if you do the underneath, it's gonna stay cold underneath your sump pump will freeze. So you're gonna have to insulate the inner wall.
He's saying the crawl space, subfloor to put in fiberglass as well.
My
Before.
point is, I'm sorry to interrupt. I know
No, he says it's in the rim joist, and then install insulation on the floor. You know what? I mean, that's a valid point. I think we should just ixnay on that and find out how it goes, and if we need to do extra insulation, we should look at the walls, because that's where the cold comes in.
Okay, fine by me.
All right, well, let's do a motion then. The original installation quotes for $3,146.
make a motion to approve the accurate insulation quote at the total of $3,146.
It's been, okay, support.
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the accurate installation quote for $3,146. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, that motion carries. Next is a moratorium on medical marijuana uses facilities. We do have an ordinance in place, and we want to review it. There's been some public comment and stuff about it, so we had to look at a few things, and I'd also like to direct the planning commission to look at that, look at different lot sizes, and look at a place that we can legitimately put it without exclusionary zoning, so we're not getting in trouble with
State.
the state law, so. If actually, that could be the motion. So I'll go ahead and make the motion to enact a moratorium on medical marijuana facilities and direct the planning commission to look at minimum parcel sizes and to look at locations as to where it will fit that will be compliant with the Medical Marijuana Act.
I'll support, but I think it needs to be a resolution.
Yeah.
Yes.
Correction.
Yes.
Change that to resolution. Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote, please? Wait, did I get a second?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's been seconded and supported.
I have a
Yep.
question. Is there anything magical or empirical about 180 days? Is there a reason it can't be? Is there something statutory that doesn't allow us to go 12
we-
months, or? I'm just
I think every
curious.
time we act a moratorium, that question comes up.
Yep, I think
And
so.
the question is,
I think I'm the one that asks it.
many attorneys don't feel comfortable doing that because it makes it look like you're trying to block applicants. They want to see progress. So they don't have a problem with renewing at 6 months. They just prefer that they keep it at 6 months because there's legal issues there as far as, people trying to stall or exclude things from happening. So,
Okay.
the case law and what have not,
Okay.
so, I mean,
You do realize it's because we're trying to block applicants.
Bill Fahey has said it.
I got it, okay.
Galooly, all the top municipal attorneys, they say, yeah, don't do more than 6
Okay.
months.
That was my only question.
Okay, Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Sure. Zach Tucker,
Yes.
Kurt Schultz,
Yes.
Jennifer Eden,
Yes,
Mike Cunningham,
Yes.
David Walker,
Yes.
Herman Ferguson is absent, Pam Loeffler, yes.
That resolution passes. Next is the quote for labor on equipment upgrades. Jen, you said you would talk about that.
yep. So the PEG coordinator, Michael Fox, sent me an estimate, and he said some of our equipment needs to be updated at this time. As you know, the equipment, he sent a quote for $997. I was able to order it, or can order it through B&H pricing, which gives government and governmental and school discount. So I saved us like $160 and I can order the equipment for $830. We can pay for this equipment because it's educational purposes through the PEG grant fund, but the labor we cannot, as you all know. So we have to have an approval to pay the labor of $500.
So moved.
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the $500 installation and labor. Any further costs? Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that motion carries. Excuse me, that's it for new business. Moving on to miscellaneous business, we have none. Final call for public remarks.
Scott Dietrich, White Lake Road. The issue that was brought up earlier on police, I don't want to get into the details of who did what happened. My biggest issue is we have a police officer. I don't care what the complaint is. I don't care who it's against. When this township residents are paying their police officer, there's no conflict of interest. I don't care if Dave threatened me or if I threatened Dave. That police officer works for both of us. And it's not a conflict of interest for him to support me over Dave. I think Mr. Murphy has some explaining to do in this township on that one. And maybe the officer was wrong, but that should be straightened up. You know, I don't want to get into details on anything else because I've said my piece to keep lines. I don't know, you know, there's things back and forth. My biggest concern right now is to the residents. We pay for police protection. And I do. I don't care if Jennifer gets threatened, I want her taken care of. If she threatens me, I want to be taken care of. Okay? I don't think she's going to threaten me. But anyways, other than that, I showed Kurt Schultz some pictures a little while ago when I first came in here of the Liberty House, of the trucks out in the road, delivery trucks on both sides of the road, guys both wheeling things across the road, carts from Amazon. The gate's a problem. I sit on the porch. I mean, Zach says turn. I got a question for you, Zach. They're registered, you're not even going to answer me. They licensed the one house. There's two houses, another address. They're using the other house. They're in there like a beehive. They're only licensed for six. Well, they're only permitted. They're not licensed. They're SUD. They can have them as they want. The fact they're using the other house, it's never been approved to use the other house. Ross told me there's nothing. I saw nothing in the paperwork. On the other house has an address. It's on the same piece of property, but they both have individual addresses. Their license is under the main house. They are not to use that second house. There should only be 6 beds on the property. 6 beds. Somebody needs to go in there and check, because that other house is, you ought to see them all day long. 4 or 5, it's baskets, clothes, suitcases. I'm telling you right now, she's probably already got 12 people in there. I see, it's like a beehive over there, guys. And the traffic on the road and stuff, the officers right now, I was gonna call the police. I'm gonna go make a report right now, make a complaint. I don't want the prosecutor involved because somebody's gonna get killed out in front of my house. You ought to see them. I showed Kurt the pictures. He saw them. They're blocking both lanes. It's wrong.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else?
Jeanette, Tyrone Township. And for the record, again, I'm going to thank you for doing that moratorium on the medical marijuana. It's obvious that it's an election season that we're getting these things looked after, because I've been asking for it for almost 3 years. And someone sitting on the board here who also sits on the planning commission had been promising that it would get put on for almost 3 years. So thank you for finally doing that. I'm going to speak about something that's not on the agenda tonight, our rights to be able to speak about anything we're concerned about. In fact, almost every meeting, you say you can talk about whatever concerns you at the second comment. At the last planning commission meeting, I was told that if I didn't stop talking, even though I was within my 3 minutes, that my right to speak at the next meeting would be taken from me. Isn't that a constitutional violation? Isn't that a violation of the Open Meetings Act, which is a law? Because someone didn't like what I was saying. I think people should go to that last planning commission meeting and just listen to what I did have to say. As a woman in this community, I should not have to be in fear of the board. I should not worry about someone wanting to hurt me, saying that they want to hurt me, and you know what, my opinion, whether it's about this or anything else, if you guys don't like it, it really doesn't matter. You worked for me, and I know people get all offended when I say that, but that's the truth. Your salary is paid because you work for all of us, okay? So not everyone has time to research topics, but I do, and I like knowing what's going on in my community. So I see it as an opportunity to help keep people informed about what's going on. But I shouldn't have to fear that someone might want to hurt me because of what I'm going to say, or what I might say. They're supposed to represent me and others. Whether anybody voted for you or not, you represent all the people in the community. I would hope that the women on the board would also consider this, and consider what maybe you might feel if your niece or your mother or your sister or someone had this happen to them, or you yourself. And guess what happened after the meeting when I did come up and say, I'm in fear? Guess what happened? I left the meeting, no sheriff came up to me and said, are you okay, is there anything I can help you with? What'd they do? They escorted someone out, another woman in this room. I probably can't say it or I'm going to be shut down, but you all know who it was. Escorted her because she didn't feel safe because I was making a complaint. So at that last planning commission meeting, someone on the planning board leans over to the chairman and says, she's out of order. Guess what? That was the person that said those things about me. So here we are. I've asked the sheriff to meet with them, but he won't meet with me. I want you to consider how I feel, how other women of the community would feel if they are being attacked like that. It's not right. Please ponder that.
Thank you for your comments. Final call.
Last time I was here, it was a month ago, maybe two. Who made you God and you decide to give everybody a raise on the board? That should be brought to the people to vote for, to vote on. You don't just get the willy-nilly hand money out that we pay you. That's, you may as well be Hitler. So I think that you should rescind your raises, because we've got a vote coming up, what, August 6th? Administration fee, when I pay my taxes. Why is there an administration fee? The letter was administered to me through the mail. Why should I pay 1% on my taxes, to pay my taxes? So when I make a car payment, I don't get an additional 1% to make that payment. My house payment, I don't have to pay an extra 1% to pay my house payment. Why? The person that's accepting my money across the counter is already getting paid. We need to address this. 1% through this whole township probably pays her salary for the whole year. And as far as Livingston County Police, nothing against you. Last time I was here, we had a discussion going on about we pay taxes on having their service through our township for supposedly 8 hours a day. I'm right on White Lake Road, a main road on the northern edge of the county. Last month, I think I've seen them twice. The whole month. I'm retired. I sit on the porch. I hang out. I mow the lawn. That should be pulled. No reason to pay a sheriff to be here when state police is going to be there a whole hell of a lot faster. They always have been. No reason for fire. I'm within 2 miles of the fire department. I have homeowners insurance. You guys have pulled the biggest scam, the quickest and easiest money out of these city dwellers that have moved to the country just to grab more money. You're all about the money. And can't wait for August 6th. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Being none, I'll entertain the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to adjourn our meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Meeting's adjourned. Terry?
So you didn't get the good part of me.
They did a bachelorette party that was in upstate New York, that I honestly, it was on the day of the eclipse. I really wanted to go to it, but there's just no way I could make it happen.